Hello students. So in the last class we have discussed about what is data visualization, different ways of visual data representation, and we have discussed few techniques of data visualization. So continuing with the data visualization, so today I want to highlight about the different types of data visualization. So with respect to the different types of data visualization, you already know from the previous class, that is techniques that are used for data visualization. We have understood that the data can be presented in the form of one-dimensional or two-dimensional, or it can be a three-dimensional. So based on that, various types of data visualization techniques have been identified. So with respect to the types of data visualization, we have these many categories. So first one is one-dimensional, or it is also called as a linear data visualization. Second, 2D, planar, or 3D, or volumetric. Fourth one is temporal data visualization. Fifth one is n-dimensional, that is multidimensional data visualization. One more is tree and hierarchical data visualization, and the last one is network data visualization. So amongst this, the most simpler one is one-dimensional data visualization, and where the complex one is the network data visualization. So let us highlight some of these particular techniques and also the tools that are used under these particular types. So this particular table clearly shows the data visualization types. So the first one is the one-dimensional or linear data visualization. In this linear data visualization, data is presented in the form of lists. Hence, we cannot term it as a visualization in real sense. It is rather a data organization technique. So therefore, no tool is required to visualize the data in the linear manner. Okay. So it is a simple way of organization of data, that is one-dimensional array. Okay, it is nothing but it's an one-dimensional array, which is nothing but the list of items or lists of elements, you can say. Okay, so no particular tool is used in this particular case. So it's just a list of items are organized in some predefined format. Okay, so this is known as a one-dimensional or a linear kind of organization, which is very simple. The second type is your 2D, or that is two-dimensional, which is known as planar data visualization. This technique presents data in the form of images, diagrams, or charts on a plane surface. So there are many, what you can say, the different tools, what I can say, the visualization techniques, that is cartogram and dot distribution maps are used in this particular case. So some of the forms are choropleth, cartogram, dot distribution maps, and proportional symbol maps. These are the examples for, these are the data visualization techniques, okay, which are used under this particular type. So these are the different forms of what I can say, the data visualization, which is generated in the 2D planar using these particular tools. So some tools I have listed here, that those are GeoCommons, Google Fusion Tables, Google Map APIs, Polymaps, Many Eyes, Google Charts, and Tableau Public. So these are the two tools which are used to have the 2D representation of the data, okay, in one of these particular forms. The third type of data visualization is three-dimensional, or it is also called as volumetric data visualization. So in this volumetric data visualization, data presentation involves exactly three dimensions to show simulations, surface, as well as volume rendering up what you can say the phases. Generally, it is used in scientific studies. So today, many organizations use 3D computer modeling and volume rendering in advertisements to provide users a better feel of their products. So to create 3D visualization, normally we use some visualization tools like AC3D, AutoQ 3D, True Space. So these are some of the tools which are used to represent the data in this particular form. It can be a 3D computer model, some simulation. It can be a surface rendering or volume rendering, and the computer simulation. Okay. So in this particular form, we can represent the data using these particular tools, which belongs to the 3D data visualization. Next type in this particular case is temporal data visualization. So this temporal data visualization method of visualization are time dependent. To visualize the dependence of analysis on time, the temporal data visualization is used, which includes Gantt charts, time series, Sankey diagrams, etc. So under this, there are various what I can say the tools are also used to represent these particular type of visualizations, that is timeline, time series, Gantt charts, Sankey diagrams, alluvial diagrams, and connected scatter plot. So some of the tools that comes under temporal representation is time flow, timeline JS, Excel, time plot, time search, searcher, Google charts, Tableau public, and Google Fusion table. So these are some of the tools which are used under the temporal type. Temporal means actually, as we have discussed in the last class, that if anyone wants to know the schedule of a particular project, so in that particular case, this temporal type of data visualization or representation is very useful. So time specific or timeline specific data analysis can be performed using this particular kind of tools. Then continuing with this, the fifth visualization type is n-dimensional, or it is also termed as multidimensional data visualization. So in this type of data visualization, numerous dimensions are used to present data. We have pie charts, histograms, bar charts, etc. to exemplify multidimensional data visualization. So some of the tools comes under these particular things are Many Eyes, Google Charts, Tableau Public, Google Fusion table. So these are the different tools which are used as multidimensional data representation. Then the next type of data visualization is tree or hierarchical data visualization. Sometimes the data relationships need to be shown in the form of hierarchies. To represent such kind of relationship, we normally use tree or hierarchical data visualizations. For example, this dendrograms, radial tree, hyperbolic trees, and wedge stack graph. So these comes under the representation of tree like or hierarchical like structure. So for this, some tools referred in this particular case are D3, Google Charts, and the network workbench are the important tools to be considered for tree or hierarchical data representation. Then finally, the last one is the network data visualization. So in this network data visualization, it is used to represent data relations that are too complex to be represented in the form of hierarchies. Some of the examples we can consider here are matrix, node link diagrams, hive plots, ND tube maps. So these are some of the examples for network data visualization. So some of the tools used to generate those node links and all are Project, Gephi, Node Excel, VOS Viewer, UCINet, Guess, Network Bench, Sigma.js, Protovius, ManyEyes, and Google Fusion tables. So these are some of the tools that are used for different data visualization. So these are the some different types of data visualization tools that we can consider depending on the type of the data that we are dealing with and we are interacting with or we are communicating with. So depending on the need, these particular tools has to be picked and represented. Okay, so this is just an overview of the different types of tools that are available for the data visualization purpose in big data analysis. Okay, so whenever you have a time, you can pick up some of these particular tools and do some literature survey, and if you get connected, start working on that. Okay, so this is my suggestion. So especially in this particular group, your D3 Google Charts, Network Workbench, Gephi, Tableau that is in the earlier slide. Okay, so Tableau public. Okay, so if you are moving into an automotive tool design, then you can consider AutoQ 3D. Okay, this timeline JS is our timeline flow, Google Charts. So these are a few softwares that you can consider for the data visualization depending on your interest. Okay. So continuing with this, the next topic of discussion is applications of data visualization. So where these data visualization techniques or tools are helpful. Okay, so that's where I want to put some light in this particular session. So with respect to the applications of data visualization, the tools and techniques are used in various applications. Some of the areas in which we can apply the data visualization are listed in this particular slide. So the first one is the education. So visualization is applied to teach a topic that requires a simulation or modeling of any object or a process. So we have considered this particular what you can say the visual visual representation to teach a certain concept. So organ system or a structure of an atom is best described with the help of diagrams and animations. And also apart from the science these things, so one of the visualization tool or simulation tool that we have considered with respect to the network simulation, so that is NS3. Okay, where we can analyze how the network can really behave with respect to the different parameter settings and all, and what are the measurements. Okay, so that we have understood. So in this way, there are n number of, not only that, there are n number of tools. So which is which are the tools that are helpful for different kinds of situations to represent the data or to visualize something, to say or to convince something to others. So these particular things can be picked and used in these particular domains. Okay, so this is what I want to say about the education sector. Then the next domain to be considered with respect to the application is information. Visualization is applied to transform abstract data into a visual form for easy interpretation and further exploration. Okay, so in this case the information means huge amount of information is being generated. So how best it can be presented so that the something can be what you can say conveyed from that particular information. Okay, so data to an information conversion, and that information is to be presented or transformed into a visual form. Okay, so this particular cycle can be what you can say thought of as the information application. Okay, so data converted to an application, information, then information to the visual form. Okay, transferred to a visual form. So this process is known as the information. So that is very much possible with respect to the various kinds of data visualization tools and techniques that are available now. Then the next area for application of data visualization can be considered under production. Various applications are used to create 3D models of products for better viewing and manipulation. Real estate, communication and automobile industry extensively use 3D advertisements to provide better look and feel of their products. Okay, so in production units these 3D kind of models are extensively used. Then the next domain to be considered in this application of visual data is science or scientific field, you can say. So every field of science including fluid dynamics, astrophysics and medicine use visual representation of information. Simultaneously, isosurfaces and direct volume rendering are typically used to explain various scientific procedures. Okay, so under this particular science, under the techniques that are used to be considered in the data visualization. So we have seen the different form of isosurface, isomorphic, and the 3D visualization, volume rendering applications or volume rendering data visualization. Okay, so these are the different techniques which are extensively used in the scientific field. Then continuing with this, the next area to be considered is systems visualization. So systems visualization is relatively a new concept that integrates visual techniques to better describe the complex system. So ultimately, how best the complex information or complex idea to be represented using these particular data visualization tool. Okay, so that is the ultimate objective in this case. Then the next area to be considered is visual communication. Multimedia and entertainment industry use visuals to communicate their ideas and information. So this already you are very well versed with this visual communication. Okay, so all these what you can say, the advertisements, okay, the pamphlets, okay, different hoardings. So all these are what you can say means companies are making use of all these particular things, much appealing to the crowd using these various data visualization tools. Okay, so in visual communication it has what you can say more appealing application with respect to the data visualization is concerned. The next application we can find in visual analytics. It refers to the science of analytical reasoning supported by the interactive visual interface. The data generated by social media interaction is interpreted using visual analytic techniques. Okay, so finally we have come to the visual analytics. So as we already know, the different types of data that is being generated, how it is to be represented, and how what are the different forms that benefits the organization. So all that those particular things can be surveyed using these visual analytical tools. So these were the some of the applications of data visualization we can consider. So next, okay. So let us discuss something about visualizing the big data. So how we can imagine a big data in the form of visualization. Okay. So that is the motto in this particular case. So visual analysis of data is not a new thing, as we already know. So it is for over the years. So statisticians, analysts have been using visualization tools and techniques to interpret and present the outcomes of their analysis. Almost every organization today is struggling to tackle the huge amount of data that is coming at their end in every day. The data visualization is a great way to reduce the turnaround time consumed in interpreting big data. Traditional visualization techniques are not at all efficient enough to capture or interpret the information that the big data processes. For example, such techniques are not able to interpret videos, audios, or complex sentences. Apart from the type of the data, the volume and speed with which it is generating poses a great challenge to an organization. That is big data processing. So most of the traditional analytic techniques are unable to cater to any of these particular problems. Okay, so the complexity, the varying amount of data, it can be a text, a video, graph, okay, it can be a complex statement. So data can be any in the form. In the traditional data processing environment, we have the data which is fixed in some predefined format, which can be some form of text, or it can be a numerals. So based on that, the analysis can be done. But nowadays there is an structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data we talk. So all these need to be considered by the tools that we use, and also the amount of volume that is being generated at every enterprise end. So that is to be considered, and at what speed it is coming. So that also matters a lot. So considering all these particular things, the what you can say, visualizing big data nowadays is a challenging task. Okay, so big data comprises both structured as well as unstructured forms of data collected from various sources. Heterogeneity of data sources, data streaming, and real-time data are also difficult to handle by using traditional tools. So traditional tools are developed by using relational models that work best on the static interaction. Big data is highly dynamic in function, and therefore most traditional tools are not able to generate quality results. The response time of traditional tools is quite high, making it unfit for the big data processing tasks. So now the most common notation used for big data, as we already know, that are 3 V's. That is volume, velocity, and variety, and one more we can join it as veracity. But the most exciting feature is the way in which the value is filtered from the haystack of data. Okay, so that is been considered as the challenging, which this deriving business solution is highlighting. Okay, so what kind of data, what kind of solution to be derived out of the big data, which helpful for the enterprises and business organizations. So deriving business solution is one of the main what you can say the feature we can consider under the visualizing the big data. So big data generated through social media sites is a valuable source of information to understand the consumer sentiments and the demographics. Almost every company nowadays is working with big data and facing the different challenges. So amongst that, the few challenges are with the organization is that the amount of information is, most of the information is unstructured. Most of the information is unstructured. And data is not analyzed in real time. And also the amount of data is huge amount of data is to be processed. And apart from that, the lack of available for data processing with respect to organization. Okay, so these are the few challenges the organizations or companies nowadays are facing. So considering all these factors, IT companies are focusing on research and development of robust algorithms, softwares and tools to analyze the data that is scattered in the internet space. Tools such as Hadoop are providing the state-of-art technology to store and process big data. Analytical tools are now able to provide or produce interpretations on smartphones and tablets. It is also possible because of the advanced visual analytics that is enabling because owners and researchers to explore data for finding out the trends and patterns. Okay, so this is about the what I can say deriving business solution. Okay, so it is very challenging what exactly the things to be derived, and these in order to derive a business solution, so these are the few challenges the companies has to overcome. Then the next point to be considered in this particular visualization of big data is turning the data into an information. So huge amount of data which is in unstructured form. Okay, so how this data is to be converted to the information, means which is meaningful to someone. The most exciting part of any analytical study is to find useful information in the form of large amount of data. Visualization facilities identification of patterns in the form of graphs or charts, which in turn helps to derive useful information. Data reduction and abstraction are generally considered during data mining to get valuable information. Visual data mining also works on the same principle as simple data mining. However, it involves the integration of information, visualization and human-computer interaction. Visualization of data produces cluttered images that are filtered with the help of clutter reduction techniques. Uniform sampling and data dimension reduction are two commonly used clutter reduction techniques that are considered in visualization. So visual data reduction processes involves automated data analysis to measure the density, outliers and their differences. So these measures are then used as a quality metrics to evaluate the data reduction activity. Visual quality metrics can be considered as size matrix, or it can be size matrix means the number of data points to be considered for the data visualization. Second point to be considered as visual effectiveness metrics, data density and the collisions. Third category can be the feature preservation techniques, which discovers preserving the data density differences. So these are the different what you can say the metrics that can be considered for improving the visual quality of the data. So in general, we can say that the visual analytical tool should be simple. Visual analytical tool should be simple, interactive. So these are the necessary what you can say the things, and also competent to create appropriate visuals. It should be competent. So simple enough to use. Simple means what? So simple, this particular data is to be simple for the usage of non-technical persons. Okay, so those should be able to handle. It should be interactive to communicate the ideas to with different sources of data, competent to create appropriate visuals of interpretation, and which is able to interpret the big data. Should better interpret the big data to share the information. So these are the what you can see the general what you can see the criteria for any visualization tool. So these visualization tool to be simple, interactive, competent, and interpret. Okay, and with all these things, that particular tool should be able to process this particular or able to face these particular challenges. Okay, so then only the visualizing the big data and meet with that we can meet the objective, like we can derive the business solution, and also it is possible to convert data into an information which is very much meaningful to an organization. So apart from the representing data, a visualization tool must be able to establish links between different data values, restore the missing data, and polish data for further analysis. So this is about the turning data into information to visualize the big data. So next point or next section to be considered in this particular case is the tools used in data visualization. So I will just list down some few tools which are used for data visualization. So some of the visual tools are listed in this particular slide here. So to start with, the first tool is Excel. So we already very much well versed with Excel. We deal with Excel sheets, or so we understand the at least few properties of this particular Excel. And this particular tool is considered an excellent tool which is used for data analysis. It helps you to track and visualize the data, deriving better insights. This tool provides various ways to share the data and analytical conclusions within and across the organizations. Okay, so most of the organizations, okay, depend what I can say, they heavily using this Excel formats, okay, or Excel operations to manage their particular data. Okay, so this is the most elementary data what we can use. Okay, so both textual processing, filtration of data, and data visualization. So all these particular things are possible with respect to Excel. Okay, so if you start what I can say digging out the Excel properties and its usage, then you will understand how worth this Excel is for the data analysis. Similarly, the second tool to be considered is last dot forward. Okay, so just I have shown the kind of output, kind of data visualization it shows, or these particular tools generate. Okay, so that also those particular figures I have just plotted for your information here. So this last dot forward is an open source software provided by last.fm. Last.fm. Provided by last.fm for analyzing and visualizing the social music network. Okay, so this is the objective, to analyze the social music network. So this last dot forward is used. So whatever the tools that I am just showing now, these are used for different domains for the data analysis purpose. So this last dot forward is actually used for the music data interpretation. Then the next tool to be considered is Digg.com. This Digg.com provides some of the best web-based visualization tools. So web-based visualization tools are very much supportive in this particular case. So we can use to make our websites more interactive and presentable. And also the next one is Pix. This tool is used to track the activity of images on the website. Okay, so activities can be tracked using this particular tool on the website. So these are the various facilities that are provided by these particular tools. The next one is Arc. So here it is used to display the topics and stories in spherical form. Here a sphere is used to display stories and topic, and bunches the stories are aligned at the outer circumference of a sphere. Okay, so totally the topics and the stories can be arranged in a spherical form. Okay, so that facility is provided by the Arc tool. So larger stories have more digs, as shown in this particular case. So the arc becomes thicker with the number of times users dig the story. Okay, so here in this particular case we have 1, 2, 3, 4 levels of what you can say the spheres are there, so which is into D. So how many stories we want to build? Okay, so depending on that, this particular arc is used. Then the next tool to be considered is Google Chart APIs. So this Google Chart API allows us to create dynamic charts to be embedded in the web page. Okay, so if any dynamic charts to be included in the web pages, in that particular case the Google Charts plays a very important role. So these are some of the APIs that are available in this way. We can create a pie chart, line chart, okay, bar charts we can create. Okay, so there are various tables, okay, dendrograms. Okay, so various different kinds of APIs are available. Depending on the need, those particular APIs need to be used in the web page. So this a chart obtained from the data and formatting parameters supplied in the hypertext transfer protocol, that is HTTP request, is converted into a portable network graphics image, that is PNG image, by Google to simplify the embedding process. So we have, so in the picture you might identify, we have column charts there, area charts, candlestick charts, which are extensively used in stock market simulations and stock markets in real time, timeline schedules, bubble charts, donut charts. Okay, so these are the different forms of APIs can be generated in a Google chart, which can be embedded in a web page. Then the next tool to be considered is Twit Earth. Twit Earth. So this Twit Earth is capable of showing the live tweets from all over the world on a 3D globe. It is an effort to improve social media visualization and provide global image mapping in tweets. Okay, so live tweets from all over the world can be, what I can say, it is possible to analyze at a single point in time. Okay, so that's what the Twit Earth provides. Then the next tool to be considered is Tag Galaxy. So this Tag Galaxy provides a stunning way of finding a collection of Flickr images. It is an unusual site which provides a search tool which makes the online combining process a memorable visual experience. If you want to search a picture, you have to enter a tag of your choice and it will find the picture for you. The central star contains all the images directly relating to the initial tag and the revolving planets consisting of similar or corresponding tags. Click on the planet and additional subcategories will appear. Click on the central star and Flickr images gather and land on gigantic 3D sphere. Okay, so this is what the usage of Tag Galaxy. Okay, so you have a galaxy there. So based on your search, so it is nothing but it's a search of images, you can say. Okay, so depending on your tag and search, so the images will be circulated. So depending on it, wherever you click, whichever the images of you just click, so all those particular related tags or images are shown in that particular figure, which is means your search will become more faster. And the next tool to be considered in this case is D3. So this D3 allows us to bind arbitrary data to a document object model that applies to a data driven transformation to the document. For example, we can use D3 to generate an HTML table for an array of numbers, or use the same data to create the interactive SVG bar chart with smooth transitions and interactions. Okay, so different what I can say, the forms of visualizations can be generated using this D3. Okay, so some of the usual forms of data representation is shown in this particular case. Okay, which takes HTML forms or tags also. Then the next tool, that is the last tool to be considered in this case, is Roots Map, mapping the internet. It is a tool to generate a series of maps on the basis of the data sets provided by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, that is NASA. Okay, so on the basis of the data sets that is being generated or provided generated in this particular case. Okay, so whatever the data that the NASA provides to this particular software, so based on that the internet mapping visuals can be generated. Okay, using this particular tool. So this Roots Map is an real-time application. So all these particular tools are used on the real time of data streaming. Okay, so that is the point. Means what? The challenge is what we have seen: huge amount of data, live data. Okay, so the unstructured data. So all these particular things are, what I can say, can be managed. Okay, with simplicity, interactiveness, competent, and interpreting the data properly. So these were the some of the tools. There are many more tools are available. So this is just I am highlighting which are the data visualization tool which are effective and which are frequent nowadays and more appealing to our computer science students. So these are the some of the data visualization tools that we can consider for the visualization purposes. Okay. So this is about the tools to be considered for data visualization. So I think in today's lecture, I think this is enough. So we'll stop here. So thank you very much. We'll continue with the next class.